If you don't know what the problem is, you can't fix the problem. We have African engineers and scientists too. The W's are not smarter than us Africans. Whatever preacher, politician, teacher, or whoever it is, you have lost your natural mind. Now, okay. Remember I told you we left quickly, brother, burn the ships, all that. Because I am the kind of brother that's about going to get it. You understand me? Going to get it. I'm not 25, I got time to waste, and I don't have that. I got 2 babies. Babies. I'm gonna show you guys some pictures of them. I got kids. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, brothers and sisters all over the world. Whatever time of the day this message finds you, all over the world. And yes, I am talking to each and every one of you all over the world. The name of this channel is The African Times, and I'm Thomas. Today, brothers and sisters, I'm going to talk to you about my experience leaving America and moving to Tanzania, Africa. I'm going to share with you as openly and as honestly as I can my experience, so that any one of you thinking of making the same decision, the same journey, will have as a reference my experiences to help you make that decision. Whether those experiences are good or bad, or if it's just for informational purposes, I'm hoping either way that it's helpful to you. I hope that this information is helpful in such a way that it leads you to the same happiness that I have found here in Tanzania, Africa. Okay. Now, many of you may have seen some of my previous broadcasts. And in those broadcasts, I talked to you about some issues that I told you we will be dealing with. Issues that affect our lives, the lives of our children, the lives of our children's children, and our posterity. All of these issues will be looked at from an African perspective, or an African frame of mind, an African way of looking at things, or a better term, an African consciousness. Okay, so now some of you may recall I talked in previous videos about the areas of people activity, and I told you that we would be talking about them. Now, areas of people activity is just really it's a simple concept. It's not really anything, but basically it's a way of looking at the activity that we all do in our lives, and then placing that activity into categories so that it can help us examine those areas, look at them closely, and kind of simplify all the activities you want to examine and look at them. So there's a gentleman by the name of Neely Fuller. He's the guy that I ran across some time ago. He was the first one that I saw introduce these 9 areas as the main areas of people activity. In those areas, he listed them as economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And that would be like war / counter war. He put counter war together with war. Now again, these are Brother Neely Fuller's categories, and I thought they were pretty helpful and useful. I thought it was a smart way to look at it. Now there's a sister out there. Her name is Dr. Frances Cress Wilson. She's no longer with us, but when she was here, when she was among us, she added another category, health. And and the health category made it 10. If you add that health to nearly full as 9, it would make 10. So in either way, we're going to deal with each one, as I said, from an African perspective, an African way of looking at things. Now, today, in this broadcast, we're going to deal with just one: education. All right, so let's get started. In Tanzania, here they have the same educational institutions that the W's have. They follow the same general educational format most of us had. And if you have children, it would be the same format that your children are probably going through now. They have preschools, daycares, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, colleges, and universities. So if you're thinking about coming to Tanzania, you can feel good and know that your children are going to get a great education. It's going to be fantastic. Now, that is, of course, unless you are one of those good brothers and sisters who, unfortunately, we have among us that think that a W education is better than a black African education, or a W teacher is better than a black African teacher. Or maybe you're just one of those people who think 2 + 2 equals 4 in W world, but in good old Mother Africa, 2 + 2 equals something else. Just in case some of you are out there on the fence and not sure, let me just make you comfortable so that you understand. 2 + 2 equals 4 on the continent of Africa too. Okay, so let's get that cleared up. Now, I know that your kids here can get a quality education, an exceptional education, because I have kids. They go to school here. My daughter is doing incredible things with math. I mean, math problems. She's bringing home, my daughter's only 5, and she's bringing home problems like 35 - 23, 59 + 25. And she's doing them. She's answering the questions correctly. And she's only 5. Now, and listen, when I was 5, 5. For some kids, that's not even first grade. It's kindergarten. We weren't doing that then. So I want to assure you, if they're doing math like that, and her reading is incredible. She's reading better than 4th graders. It's just incredible. So the W's are not smarter than us Africans. We have African engineers and scientists too. Okay? So let's get that clear. But the problem we are facing as black people all over the world is the education itself. Let me give you an example. I just told you 2 + 2 equals 4, right? That's a fact. Well, education plus miseducation equals domination. Now let me just repeat that again so you understand it. Education plus miseducation equals domination. That is the problem that we're facing right now as African people all over the world. So what I'm saying here is if our education told us, and it did, and the education of our children is telling them, and it is, that the W's and others are the smartest people, all-knowing people on the planet, and that you, me, and people that look like us, the only way that we know things is when we get that information from the W's, if they tell us the information. But if we know that information on our own, it's not credible, can't be trusted. See, if they're giving you that kind of instruction, and they are, then let me make sure you understand. You are being miseducated by the education itself. And that, brothers and sisters, leads to domination. Now we're going to go in a little bit more detail about that. Just give me a few minutes here. All right, the next thing I want to talk to you about was the schools for the children here in Tanzania. They have basically 3 or 4 types that I've been able to see. And again, you know, I'm learning as I'm going. So some information I may have to kind of revisit and kind of get corrected if it's wrong. So bear with me. But for the most part, this is what I've been able to discover. All right, so there seems to be about 3 or 4 types of school that the children go to here. One is called Cambridge. One is called the British school, the international school, and then they have the public school, which is like the government. Now, the Cambridge, British, and international schools, they're basically private schools, meaning you pay a fee. The public school or the government school, to my understanding so far, is free. Now, my guess is that's just like, you know, in America where I'm from, or the other W lands, where if your child attends a public school, they can get a quality education. But the standard and the pace of that education, that's set by those people in charge of running the government. Now, in other words, the curriculum is set by the people running the government. Those are the people that determine what your child is learning, when your child learns it, or if your child will learn it at all. Now, if those people running that government don't care about your child's education, or even if your child is educated at all, then your child will not be educated. And if those people running the government have bad intentions for your child, they may and most likely will miseducate your child by giving them information that keeps your child dumb, or that dumbs down your child, delays or slows down your child's development. Yes, and ultimately trains your children to think that being in an inferior position to the W's is normal or a good thing. Like, let me give you an example. You watch movies, right? Yeah, you watch movies. You notice we got these movies, the majority, from America, the majority. You're going to mix a black brother, African brother, with some other people, some W's, what have you. The W generally is, you know, the central character, the one in charge, the one, you know, and the brother is cool to be a part. But overall, even the backstory, the society, those in charge, the W's. And as long as we're willing to accept that role, as long as we're okay with taking that position next to them, beneath them, under their tutelage, power, and control, then we can be good friends. We can be cool, and everything's good. That's education. That's what I'm talking about. That's from birth. Okay, so let me kind of get back to it. So what I'm saying is, if they teach your child that being in an inferior position is normal and a good thing, then that's not a good thing for your child. For theirs, it's a great thing. So now, let's look at it on the other hand. If you choose a private school, the quality of the education is in your hands. That means you are picking the school that your child attends. And those individuals who are running that private school, they are the ones in charge of the curriculum. In other words, that small group, they're determining what your child learns and what your child doesn't learn. Now, there's some, they have to adhere to whatever governmental regulations, obviously, they're a part of, but they have a great deal more flexibility. Now, because it's private, And as I said, you get to pick the school, which means you are choosing what your kids learn. Now, this is what you want as an African parent or brother or sister with children going to schools in W world. This is what you want. You want control over what your children learn. Now, again, why is this important? Well, you gotta understand, the education you get from birth through formal education, that's preschool, elementary, middle school, high school, and college, determines in large part not so much who you are, but more what you will do in your life and what direction you will go in your life through your old age. Yeah, that's what it does. Not only who you are, but what you will spend your life energy doing. All right? Now understand, you only do those things, those activities that you think about. So if the education you receive is limited to only certain areas, you most likely will only have interest in those areas. The other areas you most likely will have no interest in because you don't know they exist. Now, you must be exposed to a thing before you can know if you have an interest in the thing. Okay? That's the way it works. You got to be exposed to it first. The education only helps you to reinforce and develop the interest to a point where you choose to pursue a certain level of excellence in that area of expertise. So again, if you don't know a subject or a thing exists or receive an introduction to the area or subject matter, you most likely won't and can't engage in that activity. Now, you got to understand, if you haven't been exposed to it, you won't even think about it. And this is why we as African people have to be in control of what we learn. Look, just a quick example. See, if you don't get exposed to the fact that you looking at YouTube or you looking at your phone, you need to have a satellite to do that. Because the people with satellites, they're controlling that. They take down the satellite, they close the satellite, you don't have any access. You understand? So if it's not in your mind, you haven't been exposed to that area, then you won't think about, well, how do I get a satellite? What do I need to do? How do I build one? Do I need to be in physics? Do I need to be in, is it biology? Is it IT? What is it? What do I need to do? Because I need a satellite. Okay, do you understand? So if you're not exposed to that area, into a subject, you just won't know. All right, and this is why we have to be in control of what we learn. Now you must understand, we have to do this because there is a purpose for learning. You understand? There is a purpose for learning. And on this point alone, you have to be able to see the danger of leaving the power and authority over your child's education, your child's mind, in the hands of some people who do not have your child's best interest in mind. Yeah, this is very important. That's why I'm talking to you about it. Now the W's, through their education, they've taught us that the purpose of education is so that you can get a good job and earn a good living, and you can earn a good living for you and your children. But you know that that good job is just working for them, building their wealth. Again, the miseducation here, it's clear. That might be the purpose for people who have their social, political, and economic foundation in order. But for us Africans, living in America and other W-controlled lands and governments, we must have a very different purpose in mind because we have different problems to solve than they do. we have different problems to solve than they do. They don't have the same problems. We have discrimination, institutional violence, unemployment, just to name a few. They don't have those problems because they're in control of the economics of their society. Okay, so we have different problems. So if you're not teaching your children and generations about the problem, then they will never even think that they have a problem. So they certainly won't be able to think that we have to solve a problem. You understand? If you don't know something exists, you can't deal with it. If you don't know what the problem is, you can't fix the problem. All right? This is why they make sure they are in control of the education. All right? Okay. So, clearly, the purpose of our getting an education, it can include getting a job, but it cannot be the main goal and stop there. We can't just be about getting an education and go get a job, because we're going to keep building their wealth, keep oppressing ourselves. You have to understand. If we were being properly educated, and remember, people educating us out of W's, but if we were being properly educated, then the purpose of our education would be solving our problems with these W's, and everything we do with our education, in our education, would have that goal in mind. But remember, if they're in control, they certainly aren't going to give you that type of education. They're not going to give you that. Now, accomplishing that goal for us, solving our problems with the W's, if we were to do that, we would be able to solve our own problems, would be able to provide our own jobs for our own people. We would be able to provide a future and survive and prosper. And understand, it is about survival and prospering, because for thousands of years, this struggle with these people has been going on. And as they continue to evolve and educate themselves about the ways of getting rid of large numbers of people in a short amount of time, as they continue to do that, if we don't educate ourselves and say, hey, we got a problem here, these people could get, again, like I told you before, such a large advantage that overcoming it is insurmountable. It's not at that point now. There's some very basic things that prevent that from happening, and they are aware of them. So we're not going to go down that road, not right now, but we're going to talk about it a little later on. So you got to remember, because they're in control, this is why the W's make sure without question, they are the ones who stay in control of your education, my education, our children's education. You understand? So now let's look at the educational area of people activity, and then we'll be able to see why the W's are more than happy to provide us poor old Africans with an education, because they love us so much, right? Yeah, they love us so much. So let's look at that terrific good old education that they provide us with. That good old education plus miseducation, and how that leads to our domination. Then we'll be able to know what things can be done to block that strategy of theirs from working, and institute our own educational programs to educate our children properly. Okay? And then we can prepare them for the problem, our children, we can prepare them for the problem that they have to solve in order for them to ensure and guarantee their own survival. I mean, this is, if you can't understand what I'm saying, then that should be proof positive to you. Clearly what I'm saying is factual, because You can't see it, so you don't know the problem exists. But for those who can see it, it's like, it's here, why can't you see it? You understand? All right, so us getting control of our children's education and our society's education, us, people that look like us, it has to be done. We have to face that reality. There is no other way. Listen, not to do that when we know better would be essentially committing ourselves, our women and our children and our posterity to eternal servitude to the W's and ultimately to our own death at the hands of these people. Now, look, brothers, this is our territory. Dealing with this situation is primarily our responsibility as men. And again, here is where the education and the miseducation is obvious, and clearly its effectiveness is seen through our clear and apparent dominated position. Listen, let me show you something. What I'm trying to get across to us brothers is that those of us who go through their education system and we go through that system from kindergarten through the PhD level, we'll never be told what to do to get their boots off our necks. They're never gonna happen. They're not gonna tell you. You're a fool if you believe that they're gonna tell you that. Now, but you will be told that you are completely and fully educated. When you complete their whole little process, kindergarten all the way through to whether you get that bachelor's or that master's or that PhD, they are going to tell you that you have been completely and fully educated. You'll be told that you have received the best education in the world. And you know why they do that? You know why they tell you that? This is to give you pride. Pride. So once you get that pride in you and you think you are fully educated with the best education in the world, nobody else can tell you anything, your mind is closed to any and all information that goes against what the good old W education told you was the truth. And the whole world works the best way and the only way the W say it should be. That's what the education tells you. Remember, you're proud, And remember, they tell you this is a universal education. All the people of the world strive for this. This is what they want. And any other way to do it other than the way the W say to do it is wrong. It's wrong. It's not right. Because the W's, the way that they do things, it's the universal way. It's the normal way. It's God's way. This is very dangerous thinking for an African man. It's very, very dangerous thinking. You see, once you believe this, and you think you don't need to get any other information because you already are educated and educated by the best education in the world. Once you think that, you're going to start to think you don't need to read any other books other than the ones the W's gave. Or ones the W's recommend, or the ones that the W's say are the credible ones. Now, once you get that good education in you and you are completely institutionalized, propagandized, brainwashed, and miseducated, when one of your own people come along and try to tell you, brother, you're not free, you're in danger, you need to get away, then you look at them and you tell them, man, you crazy. What are you talking about, brother? I'm in the freest country in the world. There ain't no better place to be in this whole place. It's the safest place in the world. That's what you tell them. Now, I don't know if you realize that, but when you can no longer see your freedom is tied to the job they control, and if they take away that job from you, because they control that, you don't, then you lose all of your earthly possessions. That's under their control. That's not freedom. When you can no longer see your freedom of speech doesn't even exist. Because if you say something wrong, they take your job. They might even put you in prison. And when you can no longer see that us, men, brothers, when we can no longer see that our women and our children are not safe, and that it's our responsibility and our ability as men to protect them, and that ability to be able to do that is being threatened and challenged every day, you have lost your natural mind. Let me repeat that. Let me make sure you understand. You have lost your natural mind. Literally, your natural mind. You see, as a man, you have a natural mind. Nature, like all animals, you have a fight or flight instinct. We all have it. Now, we have let another group of people condition out of us, through their good old education, our natural survival instincts. Brothers, this has to stop. We have to change that. Now listen, I want you to understand what I'm saying. Natural instincts, fight or flight. To accept your own annihilation from these people, not doing something about that, and not changing it, not working every day with your life, with everything you have in your body to change that, just cowardice. Cowardice. Plain and simple. See, you got to understand, if the end result is going to be your annihilation, your death, then you might as well spend that time trying to prevent that from happening. That's the natural instinct in all animals. And we have let some people condition us and take that out of us. And let me tell you something. Look, I don't care who it is. You understand me? I don't care who it is. Whatever preacher, politician, teacher, or whoever it is. If they are telling you that you should take any other action other than doing whatever it takes to stop the miseducation of our children right now, by any means necessary, whatever steps it takes, whatever we have to do, then I'm here to tell you right now, that person telling you to wait, hold on, let's work it out, let's work together, that person telling you, that's your enemy. That's your enemy. And if you listen to them and you don't do anything to stop it or change it, then you've been miseducated. You've been educated, miseducated, and dominated by that education. Uhuru. 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 They can enjoy that. So that's what I'm doing.